It's a super bloom. It's a super super bloom. It's a super bloom. It's a super super bloom. It's a super what? It's a super super bloom. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Super bloom is a rare phenomenon in the California desert when hundreds of thousands of colorful wildflowers pop up after more than a decade of dormancy. The magic of this vibrant blooming is mostly strong winds and lots of rain. Like those hardy seeds riding the wind and patiently awaiting the rain, once we reconnect with the elements that truly nurture us, we rekindle our resilience, our confidence, and our strength. I'm your host, Osha Rose, and in this pod, we explore all things related to the power of the mind and to this physical human existence. We can realize our full potential once we wake up the wisdom in our bones and activate our innate ability to thrive. Let's wake up with joy and be the Shakti in our lives.
So when we start to have these breakthroughs and these transformation moments and start to change even just our thoughts, we change. We show up differently. We start doing things differently, being different. Right?
It's like I just pictured like a rewiring, but like a sprinkling. It's almost like an aha moment. So like the light bulb goes off, but then it like sprinkles this magical fairy dust, and then everything just your chemicals, everything just starts to shift because you're seeing everything through a new lens. I like to think of it that way too, is like you have these glasses on and then they come off, or just some block is removed and you can see clearly. Welcome to Super Bloom, the podcast where we explore how to live life on purpose, boldly, brightly, and with joy. Today, I'm joined by Erin Summ, confidence coach, author, and speaker who knows exactly what it means to bloom after seasons of shyness and self-doubt. From once being too afraid to raise her hand in class, to now empowering women worldwide to do it anyway, Erin helps people step into their true colors and embrace their unique purpose. So I'm so happy to have Erin here. In our conversation, we'll explore how to nurture your own seeds of potential, how to push past fear into visibility, and how to bloom, not just alone, but together in community, like the fields of flowers that make a super bloom possible. Yay, so happy for this. There was one empowerment summit with women where you were talking about your path to getting to this place of being a coach and how you transformed, through, it seems like to me there was this one job you had with the pleasure parties where you would sell items to women to connect with their bodies and their own pleasure. But I'm curious for you from a sales standpoint, somebody who's shy. To me, I'm wondering what it was for you in that job. May have been part of your kind of super blooming, coming out of this shell and into this full essence of you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to start there, just sharing a little bit about your journey to get to where you are today.
Yeah. So like you said, I was really shy. All growing up, I was really shy, but I always knew that I was here for a reason. I knew I was put on the planet for a reason. I always wanted to make a difference. So I was always doing different things throughout my life. Even as a kid, like, I tried writing, a book about the environment to help the environment, or like doing, helping the kids on the playground. I was a conflict resolution person on the playground in elementary school, and it's different things like that throughout my life. And so I did get a psychology degree, and then I was working in a group home with foster kids, which I loved, but there was something that I needed. Like I needed to be more fulfilled, right? Like I wasn't totally fulfilled. And I had gone to a few of these parties, these passion parties, and I met this woman over and over again because I kept, my friends kept hosting the parties, so I kept going. And she kept asking me if I wanted to join her team, and I was like, no, absolutely not. Like I'm shy. I don't sell things. I don't speak in front of people. Like, no. But then something shifted in me one day, and I don't even know exactly what it was, but I was intrigued, and I felt like I needed to get outside my comfort zone and to do something different, grow my confidence. So I called her up and I told her, yes, I would love to join your team. And I did. And I did that for 5 years. I sold, things that go buzz in the night, among other things, lotions and potions and all that good stuff, and did hosted parties and taught women about their bodies and about how the products can help them and help their relationships and all sorts of stuff like that. Um, and it was also at that time that I met my first life coach.
Mhm.
Knew about coaching. I loved the idea of it, but she was my first coach, one of my leaders. And I really learned about how I could change my mindset. I could change not who I am at my core, but like unpeel the layers that had, been put on me my whole life, right? So like step more into my authentic self, get rid of some of those limiting beliefs, those fears, and really step more into my power, step more into who I truly am. And so I totally fell in love with the concept of coaching, and I decided to become a coach myself after a few years of doing passion parties. And I decided that I really loved helping women transform, and to just like be more of their authentic selves, whatever that is, and for them to be able to help more people too. So that's the short version.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You had this mentor there. That's what, because I truly believe, even if there's a job that we're not fulfilled with in every way, like we know it's a stepping stone in our hearts, there's a reason we're still there. It was this connection, it sounds like, with this mentor, and it was paving the way for where you were going to lead other women. Oh, I love this. And yeah, I have I have a whole belief around pleasure and passion and just that ability to connect with a sense of joy and presence in order to then tap into our courage and our confidence, right? So tell me a little bit about, today, what your passions are and the work that you're doing, and what lights you up the most about the connections you're making with all of these women.
Yeah. Well, so I love watching women light up, right? And be able to like undo some of the layers that they've been put on. I talk with a lot of women that I work with about their, old traumas and stuff, and not I don't outwardly ask them about that necessarily, but they often will start talking about things that happened to them in their lives.
Mm,
Uh, and we start kind of unraveling like, okay, well, why do we think maybe this thing happened to you as a 6-year-old or whatever? How does that relate to what's happening now? Like
mm,
I had one woman who had a lot of issues around like every time something would get good in her life, everything would fall apart.
mm,
And she was telling me about how when she was a kid, she never had stability. Like her mom was always, leaving her with random people and,
mm.
things like that. And she had been with a particular family for a while and they were very loving and they were going to like adopt her and all these things. And then all of a sudden her mom came in. It was like the first time in her life that she ever felt happy and joyful, right?
Uh,
They're good and stable. And all of a sudden her mom came back and took her away and like took her across the United States. So it was at that point that we were able to connect. Like, why do you
mhm.
think everything like the rug gets pulled out from under you every time you have something good going? Right. And so she had these big, huge fears that would come up. So we were able to start like looking at that and start helping her shift into different beliefs and helping her to stay with the joy. Right. So different things like that, where we start to look at what are these things that are stopping you, holding you back? Start to help them break through those things so that they can move forward and create more of what they want in their lives. And I just
Mm.
love watching that happen, and like love watching them being able to
Transformation.
step more into who they truly are and into their power and use their voice and be more courageous and brave.
Yeah, it's like the blocks or that example with that client. You don't have to give it all away, but like what were some of the first things you did to help her let go of that, this fear, or this, well, this is how it always was, this is how it always will be kind of attitude.
Yeah, well, like helping her understand that she's not a child anymore and she has more control over
Mm,
her life, right? And so
yeah.
like this she has control now where she didn't before, and that's not the way things are anymore.
Mm.
Um, you know, as a child, we're not in control of what our parents do, right? But now as adults, we have that control over our lives and we're able to more like navigate things differently. Um, and we don't have to be as fearful because we're adults now, right? We're not children anymore.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Are you finding there's specific areas where women are, insecure? Like for that example, it was, it just felt like she was out of control of her life and couldn't move herself to where she wanted to be. And to me, that's everything,
Yeah.
so that could be just it right there. But I think there's themes in our lives, right, where we show up in certain ways and then we start attracting people that are ready for us because we're at this stage of our own life. Are you finding that you're going through your next phase of confidence and capacity building and that's drawing people to you too? Tell me more about you and
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. I mean, we're all ever evolving, right? So
Mm.
we're all always changing and growing, hopefully, like most of us, hopefully.
Yes.
Um, and I have found that I've gone through so many stages, and I'm still ever evolving and noticing my own stuff. I've had stages of realizing that I was hiding my true self. One of my coaches once said, "Erin, all you have to do is be you. That's
Mm.
it. Like you don't have to do all the things. You don't have to you know, just be you." And that was such a huge shift for me because my whole life I felt like I had to be like this perfect person. I had to be the professional person. And it's not to say that as business owners, we don't conduct ourselves in a professional way. That's not what I mean. But I think I grew up thinking that in order to be professional or successful, I had to look and act a certain way. But it was at that point where I started to that I started letting go of those things that things started to shift for me.
Yeah.
And then I feel better too, right? Like things just flowed more in my life and there's more joy because I was able to be myself more. People were attracted to me more and things kind of just like fell into place easier.
Mm.
I was able to just be me.
And would you say to just be you, there's like a different way or a different attitude or a way you approach, like to me, the word keeps coming up like intuition, because how do you be you? Like how do you even discover you if you feel like you've been hiding or disconnected from yourself?
That's a good question. And I think that can be really hard for some people because we have hidden for so long or like pretended to be somebody that we're not.
Mhm.
So certain things like asking yourself what brings me joy, and that could be really far outside your scope of what you even know too. A lot of us don't even know what brings us joy. Trying to just notice what brings me joy or how do I act when I'm all by myself?
Mm.
For me, this is so silly, but like I have this cat that's super silly, right? And so she brings out the silly in me because she's silly too. So like I'll just like make up random songs and just sing to her and just like like so that's how I behave when I'm by myself, right? Or with her, I guess. But like sounds
No humans.
yeah. And so like what do you do when you're all alone? Do you just like bust out singing in your car by yourself or in your house by yourself? What are the things that you like to do when you're all by yourself? So that could be something to ask yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
because that's
yeah.
you, your essence. And I'm looking at these pictures behind you, and I'm curious if what brings you joy is photography or art or
Yeah. So the one in the middle, actually, the Be Bold one, I did take that photo, but I created my own card deck. It's a
beautiful.
confidence building card deck. And so I took a lot of the photos myself. So I do love photography. In the springtime, I have a lot of color in my yard. I'm like the most colorful garden in the neighborhood
Oh,
because
that's awesome.
yeah, lots of different kinds of poppies and sunflowers and all sorts of stuff like that. The card deck, the trees represent deep roots of confidence and self-worth, really just like standing strong in who you are. The flowers, going back to the super bloom, it's all about like blooming and blossoming into who you truly are, your authentic self. And
Mm,
then the butterflies are all about transformation. So that's
I love
the whole
that.
basis of the card deck.
Bold, confident you, unleashed transformation deck. Yes. Beautiful.
So yeah, so the whole deck is all it's flower. So I took this.
Mm. Just looking at these images.
They're all different, right? So whose life are you living? The whole deck is all about building confidence and transforming your
Choose it. Yes.
yeah. So
Choice.
every card has like a confidence building lesson on the back or an affirmation. So every day you can pull a card and go through some questions on the card. There's a journal that you can get to go with it. And you can start building your confidence, start looking at what limiting beliefs do I have to let go of, or how can I overcome some fears that I have? There's all sorts of different things in the deck to help you create deeper roots of self worth, bloom and blossom and transform.
I love that. Just the idea of like pulling a card each day and looking at the image throughout the day, doing the exercise. For me, it would be like writing down the affirmation.
You can just write down whatever card you pulled and the date, and you can journal out whatever the card has on the back. Yeah, so that's the Rise and Shine Confidence Transformation Journal as well. And it's a 60-day. You write every day in the journal. It has prompts for every day, how to transform, how to, look at different things in your life to really help you to grow your confidence.
I love that you created this. How did you even like get the idea?
I had in my head to create a card deck of some sort for years. And then COVID happened and we were just stuck at home. I was like, I guess this is a great time to make my card deck. So yeah, so I just kind of like took lessons that I had been teaching for years and put them into really like bite-sized small pieces,
Mm.
along with the affirmations, because I didn't want it to be every single day that they were going to have to dig deep. Because that can be a little challenging sometimes, right? Like to like look at yourself and to dig deep every single day.
If you pick a deep,
Like,
if you're like not feeling it one day, just keep going until you find the affirmation.
yeah, yeah,
Or
exactly.
or it's
Yeah,
the universe saying, "Hey, it's time to dig in, girl."
right. Right. So like this one, the I am enough card is just an
Mm.
affirmation card. So it just says repeat this affirmation throughout your day. I choose to be enough because I am enough, right? So
Yes. By having this deck, it can be a way to introduce people to this concept of confidence from the essence of I am enough just as I am. It's less about discovering something they don't already know. It's more about removing the blocks to believing in themselves.
yes, absolutely.
Mm.
I think as women, we don't believe in ourselves often,
Mm.
right? We don't think we can have or do or be the things that we want. That's because we don't feel worthy. We don't feel deserving. We've had all these things, whether that's parents, or teachers or society telling us, one thing or another that's created beliefs in us for our whole lives. Um, so it's really all about removing those blocks and really being able to be ourselves. And
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, and feel empowered to be
mm,
ourselves, that we are enough just as we are.
yeah.
So what's your vision for yourself? Just for people that might be stepping into their owning themselves and who they are, and maybe they're finding their way into this career and this new path that is scary but also exciting, and just understanding how there is a process to growing into that, and what you had for a vision for yourself 10 years ago, I'm sure is different than now. So I'm just curious what maybe an example of the beginning was for you, like how you kind of grew, and then maybe where you see yourself in the future.
Yeah. Well, so there's so many things, but
Oh
like,
yeah, bring it all, whatever comes first.
um, in the beginning, I wasn't really sure what my niche was to start.
Mm.
Like I wasn't a confidence coach right away. I did talk a lot about confidence, but at the beginning I worked with men and women. It was always about mindset, but it was more about like goal setting. And I wanted to be like a really big named coach. I wanted to be really well known. And a few years ago, it dawned on me, I don't want to be that. Like I don't. When you have millions of followers, you can't do one-on-one with people or you can't do small groups with people. That's what I really love is having that one-on-one or like really intimate connection with people. I did a retreat in 2019 for the first time and I think it was 9 including myself. And that was such a great number because we really got to dig in with people and get really intimate and really transform people in just a couple days, which blew my mind because I mean, I was shocked by the amount of transformation that these women had in 2 days.
Aha moment after aha moment after aha moment, and just
Yeah.
like, walked out of there a different person than they walked in. More clear to who they are. Yeah.
Right. And so like for example, I had a photographer come and help me, and she had the idea to take pictures like very close up of their faces right at the beginning and right at the end. When they got there and
I
right
just got the chills. Tell me. Oh.
they looked different. They looked
Mm-hmm.
different. And on the second day, I mean, this retreat was only from like 5 on Friday till noon on Sunday. So it was not very long, right? Like a day and a half total. The photographer had to leave at some point on Saturday, and she came back into their house after a couple hours of being gone. And she's like, what happened in here? Everything just like lifted and the energy shifted and changed. It's really incredible the transformation and how it happened so fast. I realized a couple years ago or a few years ago that I had been pushing to like grow and be this big thing. And I realized that that's not really who I am or what
Mm-hmm.
I want. I like the intimate small groups. I like being like hearing from people how I have helped them and how they have shifted and changed and transformed, right? And when you're a person who doesn't have that connection with your people that you're helping, you don't get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that connection with them. Um and I'm an introvert and I just don't want to be in front of like massive amounts of people. I just don't. So I was able to realize that for myself and like that's not who I am and that's not what I want. So that was a really awesome realization and shift for me because I realized I didn't have to push as hard as I was, and I was pushing to something that wasn't in alignment with who I am and what my body wants or needs either.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever looked into like human design, or because you mentioned introvert, and I just wonder if you've ever looked into your type in human design.
It's funny because I actually have it on a tab on my computer right now because I was looking it up the other day.
No way. Do you mind sharing your type?
I've known the type for a long time, but I want to learn more about it. I'm a manifesting generator.
Okay. All right. And then, okay, so I love this. So manifesting generators or manifestors, they're the most common in our culture, maybe 70% when you put them all together. But living in alignment with your design is very rare. I'm curious because I'm a manifesting generator. Like if you think of the types are all people putting together a play or a movie, they're the ones that are like the screenwriters. They're not the ones that are going to do it all, but they're going to get everything in motion. And you just, so to be able to have the freedom to do what you want and what your curiosity is drawing you to. That makes perfect sense to me. But then you'll dig in and you'll see your profile. Like mine's a 6-2. And I'm just speaking in human design because I just did this course. It's so fun to just learn a little bit about it because then you can say, oh, looking at it through this lens, I'm a 6-2. The 6 is the leadership role and the 2 is the hermit. So I've struggled with finding my balance between being in the limelight, being a mentor and a leader, but then also needing this time to hermit, to be reclusive. I wonder if you have a 2 in your profile.
5'1",
I've
but I'm
one.
definitely a hermit. I live alone and
And this is the thing too, like once we learn all these profiles and ways to describe ourselves, we could be the whole gamut at some point in our lives or in the day. But understanding we are more inclined to, like, I'm a generator. So I just keep going. I don't need a lot of sleep. I have all these ideas and, I'm like, come on, I want to run. I run marathons. Like let's go. But then balancing that with all the other, and you have a superpower with human design. It's the experiment that we may have this path that if we can follow, we'll live in alignment and then we'll truly be able to shine and be that confident self. So that's so cool that you're learning about it too, because I think it's an interesting way. I mean, astrology is cool and there's the Vedic and the Western, but finding something that you can kind of hold on to that helps you as a guide to seeing that it might be perfectly natural that you like being home with your cat. Like it might be perfectly natural that you are someone that can show up in a room with 9 people, with 8 other people and just by you being you and connecting with their energy and connecting with the people and creating the space that only you can create, you're elevating their frequency to this place where they don't look the same when they leave. To do it in such a short time speaks to the power of intention. Everyone came to that space with the intention to walk away feeling more themselves. So just that intention is going to set the motion for that. When we show up every day, if we wake up in the morning and we say, today I'm going to just be me, like, or pull one of your cards, like it's affirmation, like I choose that I am enough. Like to me, that is the power of intention. When we start our day staying out into the ethers, looking at images that give us a feeling of bloom or growth or just beauty, there's a ripple. There's a ripple that we carry into our day. And so just kind of in that, I think we both understand the laws of the universal, like hermetic laws, like speaking of hermit, but hermetic laws and just that power of intention and what we will create by setting that intention. Law of attraction, something that's familiar to a lot of people, and how, what we speak, what we think, how we show up, those are all ways to draw things in. How do you help people with this transformation? What is kind of the key part of that?
I think it just starts happening. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, for example, there was a woman at my retreat who grew up in a very toxic, abusive environment, right? And she learned that she was not to be seen or heard.
Mm-hmm.
So she hid her whole life. And she was, at the time of the retreat, I would say at least in her mid to late 50s, maybe 60.
Mm-hmm.
She lived her whole life hiding, afraid of being seen and heard, but wanting to be, right? And so she's a accountant, and she wanted, though, to be a business coach. She wanted to write a book. She wanted to speak more, but she was too afraid. And she realized this at the retreat, and she had a lot of breakthroughs.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent me a text a few days after the retreat, and she's like, literally the next day after the retreat. And this is a person who was like so terrified to speak that she would like turn down speaking gigs or podcasts or anything. So like the day after the retreat, she got a text asking her to be on a podcast. And instead of being terrified, she immediately said yes, and she was excited. And then
Wow.
yeah, and since then, she has become a business coach. She has started speaking. She's written a book. She's done a lot of things that she previously was too terrified of, right? So when we start to have these breakthroughs and these transformation moments, and start to change even just our thoughts, we change. We show up differently. We start doing things differently, being different, right?
It's like I just pictured like a rewiring, but like a sprinkling. It's almost like an aha moment. So like the light bulb goes off, but then it like sprinkles this magical fairy dust, and then everything just your chemicals, everything just starts to shift because you're seeing everything through a new lens. I like to think of it that way too, is like you have these glasses on and then they come off, or just some block is removed and you can see clearly. But yeah, it sounds like the work you do is very individual. It's hard to even say exactly what you're doing because it's a process of connecting with each woman,
Mm-hmm.
listening to what is on their heart, creating space for them to just be, whatever is in that moment, and bringing a group of women together. I think in the retreat can be that much more powerful too. The transformations are profound. And this word transformation, for me, I think of a butterfly. We come into this world as a caterpillar, but we're destined to be a butterfly. There's this process of transformation. We go into the chrysalis. It's so cool when you think about what a butterfly is doing in there, but like we get our wings, they grow, everything becomes clear, and then it kind of like we just emerge, and everything that was holding us is part of our new self. It's like
Yeah.
this beautiful, yeah. So that is what Erin Summ does with her clients, helping the butterfly within emerge,
Yeah.
seen and heard and understood, this kind of place where you can feel safe to emerge, because we're delicate at first. We need a minute to like get the strength in those wings.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What else is important to share about you for people that are just getting to know you? What are some things happening now or in the future?
Yeah. So I have I have regular webinars where I teach about how to use your voice, how to be
Mhm.
courageous, how to transform that confidence, how to stand in your power, right? So I have those regularly. I have a Facebook group where we talk about confidence building. I do regular card pull videos. So
Oh,
they can
yay.
those if they want. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram. I'm the only Erin Summ in the world. So
Yay. Ooh,
you
I
can
love
find
that.
me. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can be big in your way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Erin. This has been wonderful. Thank you for sharing your heart, your wisdom. I know our listeners are going to walk away with so many insights from this and even just tools to begin to help them step into their confidence and purpose. And because I believe transformation begins in the small moments of reflection, I'd like to just close our time together with a short exercise. So, this will be a chance for all of us just to pause and notice the seeds within that might be ready to bloom. So, get comfortable in our seats as we close here and take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you breathe in, let your gaze soften, maybe your eyes even close. Breathing out through your mouth, feel your shoulders relax, your jaw, your eyes relax. Two more, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more, just like that. And imagine yourself as an acorn seed tucked deep beneath the soil, quiet, waiting. Inside, though, is everything you need to grow, to bloom into the full expression of the powerful, rooted tree that you are. Now ask yourself, what seed within me is ready to emerge through the surface now? And then ask yourself, what is one small action that I could take this week to water that seed? How does it feel to consider taking this action? Is there fear, hesitation, joyful excitement? And what would it look like if I simply just did it? Who or what could support me as I step forward with this desire within me to grow? Now take a moment to reflect on what has just come up for you. If you can, jot down your answers in a journal. Writing connects us deeply to our truth. Or just take a moment to note it in your mind. Thank you for joining us for this powerful conversation with Erin Summ. What Erin reminded us today is that with the right mindset, daily practices, and community support, super blooms happen when many flowers rise together. Find your community, lean into your innate gifts, and trust that your season of blooming is here. Yay! Anything else you wanted to say in closing?
Just remind everybody that you are worthy of shining your light and sharing your authentic self so that you can reach your vision for your life.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Erin, so much. This was so wonderful to have you here. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Super Bloom podcast. For more information on how to open up your mind and expand your heart and ways to work with Osha Rose, visit osharose.com. There is music videos, community connection, fun ways to learn about the body, the mind, and how they connect. Visit osharose.com.